you're gonna break into. On you.
Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Got to give a special shout-out to the WMML listeners in Glens Falls with the new tower. Blah. Now they can transmit all across the universe. I just figured I'd mention that to the local station. Yeah. Don't forget about those guys. Anyway, we got a busy show scheduled for you. Don't forget this show is being brought to you in part by Cats Nationwide, luxury transportation service. If you need a limousine and you're someplace in the U.S. of A., then you need to give my girl Kat a call. Her phone number is 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Don't forget that Cats Nationwide luxury transportation service is the official transportation service of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend get-together, which is scheduled for November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Man, is it shaping up. It's early, but we basically got confirmations from everybody who got inducted this year that's going to be showing up. They all are coming back from last year. And we're going to have several surprise guests, too, like HBO's own Harold Letterman. He's already told me that he's coming. We got some other tricks up our sleeves with some other fighters, some current fighters, some former fighters, some trainers. It's going to be great, man. So make your plans now. By the end of the week, you're going to be able to get different series of tickets. We are doing it slightly different than we did last year. Instead of having a full-blown marathon, we're going to break it into 3. We are going to focus a little more this year on the memorabilia. We had pretty decent success with the memorabilia last year, and a lot of people are already asking us about that. What's going to be here? What's going to be what's going to be available? So we're going to build up on that. If you have any questions, drop us an email, hofinfo@billycboxing.com. But give my girl Kat a call, 202-351-7496. Just remember, she's my girl. The show's also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, use the ones that keep me out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Don't forget to tell them Billy C said you don't have to pay a consultation fee. That's right, man. Just tell them Billy C said that, man. And then I'm sure they'll send me the bill. But give them a call today, 845-221-4099. And, of course, my good friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you haven't checked it out, especially for you WMML listeners, if you haven't checked that one out, what the hell are you waiting for? It's completely renovated. Big screen TVs everywhere. Great people to hang out with. They always got drink specials going on. And on Friday nights, when there's Friday night fights going, we're there, unless we're doing a live broadcast someplace. And as of this weekend, from now on, when we do a live broadcast, we will pipe it directly into the Halftime Bar and Grill. That's right. Not only will you get to hang out with us in person, where we'll give you, prizes and stuff, just for talking boxing with us and watching it on the big screen. When we're not there, you're going to be watching wherever we are. That's right. We're going to pipe in our live broadcast right to my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, so you get to make fun of me, and then we'll talk about it the following week. Give them a call if you want to make a reservation for some fantabulous food, 518-792-4869, 792-4869. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you. Hey, speaking of broadcast, we're going to be doing a live one March 24th out of Macon, Georgia. Frank Hiroshi Horta is taking on the Contender Series star, I guess, one of the stars, Grady Brewer. It's going to be for an Intercontinental Junior Middleweight Championship defined by the IBO. The winner is going to get a shot at the title. We're going to be there. We're going to broadcast it live on LDL TV. Make sure you're there. Mark it down. We're looking forward to that one. If you forgot, Grady Brewer beat Fernando Guerrero, who was undefeated 21-0 going into that fight. And Frank Hiroshi Horta has not lost in over 3 years. He's got a decent record, and I'm looking forward to an experience I probably will never forget. So make sure you join in on those reindeer games, March 24th. I'm not sure when the broadcast is going to begin, but I'm expecting around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You got to check ldltv.com for information on that. If you're in the Macon, Georgia area, or if you're any place around Georgia, make sure you show up, man. Would love to see you. All you got to do is stop by and say hello to me, and I'm going to make sure I send you a prize. And that's as simple as that. If you want to get tickets, just go to our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the fight poster. It's right there on the front page. All right, we got some emails to read. First thing I want to start off with is, I kind of let the cat out of the bag with Oscar De La Hoya, his big secret, his big major announcement that's going to shake up the boxing world. We were all waiting for it yesterday. I told you what it's going to be. He's in the final stages of doing his own boxing channel. Sort of like what we do with Fight Now. Everybody's copycatting the success that the Fight Now channel has had. But instead of tweeting, he's been a real tweetheart. But instead of continuing his tweeting ways, he tweeted yesterday that he's the big announcement so far. I guess we're thinking since he promised that it was going to be tweeted yesterday that he's sober for a year, and a tear came to my eye. I'm just so happy for Oscar, but then again, after tweeting that, I'm saying to myself, what's he doing? What's he on? What's he back hitting the stuff, the white stuff, or whatever the hell he was on? I don't know, man. But yeah, Oscar De La Hoya, he's a real tweetheart. We got a couple of emails to read. My man Henriquez Bajorn. I think I'm saying it right, man. And if I'm not, I'm sorry, Mr. Henriquez. But he said we had an email that we talked back and forth. But it was one that I guess I'm not going to read on air. But one, he says, I think what people are trying to say, and this is referring to the Mosley and the steroid issue. He says, I think what people are trying to say is that Mosley admitted to being on steroids and it never showed up in a urine test. Right. That's the bottom line. He had admitted using it, but I'm sure it showed up in a test someplace where they, advised him to admit it. He admitted it and then never used it again, so they never really tested him. I always said that, he did use the PEDs, but the official word is that he's never officially tested positive. He admitted use and then stopped, but that was that. So, enough of the Mosley thing. I know you guys love correcting me and everything, but you're right, all right? You're right. I misspoke, which I do often. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Enriquez. And by the way, like him, he was given, basically, we were talking about Floyd Mayweather, of course, and Manny Pacquiao, and he says, I got to agree with Scotty. I don't think that Manny Pacquiao has a chance against Floyd at this point. And I admitted, hey, after the Ortiz fight, I changed my stance as well. And that's what slowly started getting me to at least recognize that Floyd is a talented guy. But as far as the person, I refuse to even think about supporting his actions, unless he could put in my right hand to make me say with my left hand, okay, yeah, Floyd's a great guy. But anyway, like he did with other people. But my man Curon. Now Curon's part of the show. Curon bails us out a lot. He does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. He gives us some stuff on the UK all the time. We've been trying to get this kid to come on the show and be part of it a little more, right? I mean, he's so talented in so many different ways, and I think he's just shy. But he gave me. He wants this became a mailbag because of how he put it. He says, "Hey, Bill, just wanted to give you a virtual high five for coming straight out with it about the corruption in the Campillo Cloud fight. I was just nodding in agreement when you talked about the bank account. That's my line of thinking all the time. How many little envelopes of cash passed around before these big fights? No doubt, man. Come on. I mean, with the decision from the IBF the other day, which I'm still pissed about. With them deciding that they're not going to order a rematch. I mean, think about it. The sanctioning bodies make their money from sanctioning fees, right? I mean, so, what do they care? They really don't care who fights who, as long as they get their do-re-mi. I mean, that's the way it is. I don't care what anybody says. That's the way it is. All right? I mean, if it wasn't like that, they wouldn't have invented a 1.5 belts. Every time somebody wears one of those belts, somebody's getting paid, right? And it's the sanctioning fee. So, the sanctioning body with their fees. So, with that said, what's wrong with ordering a rematch? It doesn't hurt the IBF. It certainly, helps the organization in terms of how we look at them. I mean, there's no question about that, right? We may be complaining about the result. We may be complaining about a performance by a specific fighter, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is a sanctioning body is within their rights for if their champion, if they want to order a rematch with one of their champions, they're within their rights. All right? The only possible explanation of why they did not, and I don't for a minute believe the line of BS that the IBF said that, oh well, we don't want to question the integrity of the judges because after all, they are professional judges. All that makes them professional is that they're getting paid. Half of them can. 3 blind mice can judge fights better than half of these judges. Come on, man. Let's be real. All right, it's been terrible. We wonder what's wrong with the sport of boxing. And I tell you, it's real easy. I can tell you that I blame the promoters. I can tell you that I blame the managers, the networks, the fighters, the fans, everybody. We all got to take a little piece of the blame. But you know what? The bottom line is this. With all of those guys, the incompetent judges, the incompetent referees, all of this stuff adds up to why people say, oh, yeah, that's why I don't watch it anymore. I was wondering why I haven't watched it since Mike Tyson I happened to flip through the channels and I saw this fight. I watched Campilio beat the snot out of Tavares Scott and then watch him get robbed. That's why I don't watch fights anymore. The IBF should have done the right thing and said, hey, listen, we're not going to question the referees. They're professionals. We're not going to question, the judges. They're professionals. We're not going to question anybody. But you know what? In our opinion, something was done here, and we want to order a rematch. We think that the fight is the only reason why they didn't order a rematch, in my opinion, is simply this: Camp Cloud doesn't want to fight Gabriel Campillo again. End of story. That's why they didn't order a rematch. And Camp Cloud had to fork over some money for the IBF to say that. That's it. Because they had to fork over more money than they would have gotten from a sanctioning fee. And that's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. And thanks for the email, Kieran. I got one more when we come back.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all: dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the ideal computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. Check out our website, www.billycboxing.com. Don't forget, coming up a little later on the show, we got Scotty Crouse. We're talking to him about whatever. I guess boxing. And then my man Alex Papali presenting this week's Blast from the Past, former world lightweight champion and boxing Hall of Famer, Kenny Buchanan. And then the infamous Joe Santoliquito. See what he's got to say a little later. All of that's coming up a little bit. Hey, you know what else is coming up? I'll tell you that in a little later. I'll tell you that when that's coming up. Something else is coming up, but I'll tell you that later. I got an email from Sammy. Hey, Sammy. What's up, Sammy? Sammy from Newcastle. Oh, that's the other side of the pond for all you Americanos. And Sammy's got some questions here. He says, I have a question for you. Thanks. He says, why do fighters do not fight as often as I think they should be? I mean, young fighters such as Victor Ortiz, Amir Khan, even though he's crying like a baby. Yeah, he is. Amir Khan is definitely a crybaby Khan, man. I mean, either that Or he's totally lost his mind. I am the champion. I am. I'm still a champ. I'm still a champ. Come on, would somebody give him a belt? Will somebody draw him a championship belt? Just cut him out like a star and tape it onto a belt and give it to him and tell him, yeah, okay, Amir, you are the champion. You are the champion. Play Queen's song for him. Come on, man. Come on. But anyway, Crybaby Con, I love it. He says, Bam Bam, Rios, guys like this, they should be fighting 3 or 4 times a year. They have nothing else to do rather than train, but they fight once or twice a year. Is that because of the bureaucracy taking over boxing and negotiation, or is it negotiations that take forever, or is it because it's unhealthy for a fighter? Fill me in here. That's the first of 2 questions. Years ago, fighters used to fight a little more. And the thing was, and we're always talking about it, and, that's a good point. Scott and I, hopefully Scotty's listening and he can remind me to ask him this later. But, the fighters used to fight a lot more in yesteryear. But if you look at some of these guys, and it's pretty obvious of how it is. They used to fight, first of all, some of them fought, once or twice a month. I mean, there was guys that fought, once a week. This fighters, if you go way back, you could see they fight twice in a week. I mean, it was ridiculous. But they were professional fighters. That's how they made their living. However, a lot of those fights were really sparring sessions. And a lot of these fighters didn't really spar the way they spar today. They used to, fight those fights, basically, not put their title on the line or fight a guy that, wasn't that tough or whatever. And that's how they kept busy and honed their skills and everything else. And then every so often, every month, every couple of months, whatever, they still fought more often than they do today. But then they would have a title fight, a title defense against a tougher guy. So I think today sparring has replaced some of the activity. Now, with that said, I do agree that fighters should fight at least 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, that's my opinion. But it goes back to the same thing. The least amount of risk for the maximum amount of reward. So I'm going to throw out a name, Mayweather. Yeah, let's pick a name, Mayweather. All right. Now Floyd Mayweather, he's a big enough draw and makes enough money where he doesn't have to fight more than once a year. I mean, let's face it. He's going to fill the stadiums. He's going to do well with pay-per-views, and he can get away with fighting 1 time a year and make what he needs to make in that year. So why should he? But he got to that point. When you look at a fighter's career, a young fighter, we today call a busy fighter a guy that fought 6 times in 1 year, maybe 7. That's a busy fighter. When they're building up fighters, a lot of times when Mike Tyson, let's say 25 years ago when he started, he was fighting once a month. So yeah, overall, I think fighters should be busier. But once they win a title, it becomes money, it becomes risk versus reward, and it becomes about twice a year. So good question there, but, I think there's several answers to it, and I tried to cover them all. So, good question there. Second question, are referees partial or what? I mean, Gabriel Campillo clearly won his last fight. Who are they paid by? Are they paid by the federations? If so, the federations have their champions that they would want to exploit their champion. Is that a little bit biased? Actually, they're paid by the promoter. Now, when they have a fight and it's sanctioned, the sanctioning body will appoint or suggest, or in most cases they just appoint. They basically suggest, but they're appointing their approved officials for that fight. But the guy who writes the check is the promoter. Now, there's different rates for judges and referees and what have you. When you're judging or refereeing a fight, for example, if it's a low-end fight, obviously the pay is a little less. Each commission has their set fees for what they charge, for a referee or a judge or timekeepers and all that stuff. But when it becomes a title fight or a sanctioned fight, it gets into that next level. And the sanctioning bodies do have a say in that, what their rates are and everything else. But the guy that's actually writing the check is the promoter. It's the same thing with the championship belts, the sanctioning fees. Now, sometimes a fighter or his manager may sponsor the fee, But in most cases, the promoter is responsible for that. So a couple of good questions there. So thanks for the emails. Keep them coming. Hey, keep the goes, the don't goes coming, and the watches and the don't watches. You know, I had a go, don't go, watch, don't watch the other day, and I lost it. And for some reason, I can't even remember which fight it was. I'm almost thinking it was for the one in Madison Square Garden on March 17th. So, you know, and I apologize. I think it was Ken that sent it. Somebody named Ken, but. I would say it's a go. I would say it's a go, and it's a watch. It's going to be an interesting fight, and Dax Khan is incidentally Dax's son got pretty sick over the last few days, and I wanted to give a shout out to him, and hopefully everything's okay. I spoke with Dax last night, and he said things are looking up, and his son should be getting out of the hospital today. He also wanted me to make sure I thanked everybody for all their thoughts and prayers and shout-outs that they have been giving him through the social medias like the Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. So he wanted me to make sure I mentioned that. So before I forgot, it was a good thing. But as far as the card in Madison Square Garden, I think it's going to be an entertaining card. St. Paddy's Day, you know, you'll have all those Irish guys drunk, drinking green beer. You know, the only thing I wonder about that fight, honestly, is the fact that they don't have that many Irish guys on the card. You know, I mean, usually you want both sides being Irish. I remember going to, I think it was Foxwoods, or maybe it was Mohegan Sun. It was Mohegan Sun, and they had a St. Paddy's Day card, and all the fighters were Irish. You know what? They had one side Irish and one side Italian. That's what it was. But the cool part was they had a lot of the drunken Irish fighters in the audience, you know. And I got to meet my man Usheen Fagan. But anyway, what's going on with Bam Bam Rios and Rios-Gamboa? You know, can't wait to get Scotty on to get his thoughts on that. He's going to be coming up in a couple minutes. But, you know, first of all, all the talk, you know, we've talked about Bob Arum a lot, and nothing positive, but we've talked about Bob Arum a lot and how, you know, what a sinister devil he is. When people say the devil made me do it, you know, the old Flip Wilson thing. Half of you guys don't even know who Flip Wilson is, but more than half. But he is the devil of boxing. It's pretty obvious now. The inside scoop is that he wants to get out of his deal with Rios because he doesn't like. With Gamboa, because he doesn't like Gamboa's other promoter. So what does he do? He hand feeds him to Bam Bam Rios. Now Bam Bam Rios is, you know, you got to remember something. Gamboa's moving up in weight up to lightweight. So this technically is his first fight as a lightweight, if the fight happens, at 135 pounds. Bam Bam Rios lost his title because he couldn't make weight. As a matter of fact, he looked like Oscar De La Hoya did when he stepped in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. He just didn't look the same. It took him a while before he caught up and knocked out his opponent in his last fight. Now, they claim that they got a nutritionist and everything else, and that Bam Bam Rios is going to have a much easier time making weight. I don't know about that. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the comical press conferences that Gamboa has not been part of. But Bam Bam Rios looks a hell of a lot bigger than 135 pounds to me. I mean, he's calling him chicken. I like Bam Bam Rios. Don't get me wrong, man. I love this kid. I love the way he fights, his style. We've all said it. I don't think I know anybody that doesn't like watching him fight. But, you know, his attitude is kind of crazy, you know. Now, I know that they're selling tickets and everything else, but consider this. Right now, as of now, the promoter for both of these fighters is Top Rank. I don't know about you, but I'm clearly seeing some favoritism. I'm seeing not much gets by me. They call me Captain Obvious. And I'm clearly seeing some favoritism here towards Bam Bam Rios. How about you? Are you seeing some favoritism? I mean, you may not be as, you may not notice stuff as much as Captain Obvious over here. But I'm seeing a little favoritism. And, I don't know, man. I don't know. But the latest rumor is that Rios-Gamboa found his way to Las Vegas. I wonder wonder how his coconut raft held up to go from Miami to Vegas. But anyway, he found his way to Vegas, and now he's working with Team Mayweather Promotions. And, if that's the case, that's good, I think. And I'll tell you what else is good. They're probably telling him, don't be crazy, man. Don't be fighting this guy. He's too big for you. Why risk it? And you know how Team Mayweather likes those O's. I mean, they just don't want the O's to go. And Rios-Gamboa, he's got to know.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. That's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy, C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. It's that simple. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. For all the information, check out their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Fight Now, today's trivia question, I got a special prize for the Fight Now viewers, and I'll tell you about that when we do the trivia questions. As a matter of fact, I might just give it to everybody, but we're trying to treat the Fight Now people special. And speaking of special, joining us right now, Scotty Crouse. What's up, my man?
Well, good morning, Bill.
What do you think of this Gamboa Rios thing, man? I mean, I like the fight, but I thought it wasn't right for Gamboa really right now, and only because of the size difference. And we see Rios and Gamboa's not showing up to the press conferences. They're saying, oh, this boy's going to still fight and all of this stuff. And I'm saying to myself, it's not looking like it unless this is a ploy, to get in Rios' head. I mean, what's your take on all this?
Well, I agree with you about the fight itself. I never really liked the fight for Gamboa. I thought that's just he's biting off a little more than I think that he could chew right now, going up a couple weight divisions to fight a guy that can barely squeeze into the lightweight division as it is. It's just such a huge size advantage. And I know we can go back to the De La Hoya Pacquiao fight, and say, well, look at that fight. Well, Brandon Rios is not at the end of his career. I mean, Brandon Rios is young, fresh, strong. He's struggling to make lightweight, but he's still young enough. He can struggle and make it and still perform. He's not 35 years old or whatever, where it's going to show yet. It might one day, and he needs to move up. I thought he needed to move up after the John Murray fight. I didn't even like the fight for him, quite frankly. I think it's good for boxing fans, but just for either fighter, it's just to me, it's all about let's squeeze, let's get a payday and put these guys together, even though it's really not a good fight for Gamboa, and even though it's really not a good fight for Rios, and that he still has to try to make lightweight when clearly he's struggling to do so. Now, having said that, obviously you would think there's a contract. Top Rank, aren't a bunch of noobs. They know what they're doing. I'm sure there's a contract, and I'm sure Gamboa is in violation of it, in some way or another. And from what I gather, Lem Satterfield on Ring.com, had a story about it, and pretty much Gamboa is a no-show because he doesn't like his contract, and he wants to change things. So he's kind of pulling the old, I'm sitting out of training camp until you renegotiate my contract routine, and I'm not sure if that'll work. It doesn't really work in boxing as well as it works in, let's say, professional football. So we'll see how this plays out and what happens if he actually fights Rios. I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits and all kinds of stuff unless Gamboa comes to his senses and just decides to go ahead and fight anyway. But from everything you read, it's really kind of crazy that Gamboa was very involved in terms of the itinerary of this press conference. According to Todd DeBuff, he says, Gamboa gave us the itinerary. He said who he wanted to, come to the press conferences. The whole idea of going to Miami was his idea and his request, and now he's just completely blowing it off. So it's obviously unprofessional, and we'll, like I said, we'll see. There's going to be legal action, I'm sure. Whether there'll actually be a fight between these two, that remains to be seen.
I thought they were in the last leg of the contract anyway, and that's why they made this fight. And then the last rumor I heard was that he's working, that Team Gamboa is kind of teamed up with Mayweather Promotions. And I could see Mayweather Promotions getting involved with them and him. He's their style fighter, I would think, based on some of the other young fighters they have. And I wouldn't. I got to be honest with you, Scott. I mean, if Gamboa was my fighter, I would advise him not to take this fight. I mean, I wouldn't have. I mean, like you said, they probably obviously already signed paper. They're even trying. You see, what makes it a little even more interesting and mysterious is that Todd DeBuff said that he would DeBuff. That's about him. But he said that they're going to throw an extra $100,000 to the winner.
Yeah, obviously trying to keep this fight together, keep it from falling apart. Obviously, they don't want to have to deal with lawsuits and the fallout of the fight not taking place. This is the fight they want, and up in the ante, I guess, a little bit to try to motivate this guy, if it is financial at all. But again, who knows? Who knows what's in the head of Gamboa at this point? It just seems very strange that he did all that he did to get ready for this fight. I think he's the one that was calling out Rios. He went and he got, Emmanuel Stewart, hired him as his trainer, and Emmanuel Stewart saying, I don't know what this guy's doing. Beats me, who talks to me. So it just seems the timing is really, really strange. And, I mean, Bill, you've been around this business a long time. When things like this happen, usually there's someone in someone's ear saying something, whispering something, giving advice, for things just to sort of turn and change when they were heading a certain direction, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they head a different direction. Usually there's someone else there giving advice and whispering in Gamboa's ear, and whether it's Mayweather, who knows. But apparently, according to Todd DeBoof, he has a...
We just lost you, Scott. We're gonna have to get you back. They do have him. They do have him. He is under contract. For some reason, I thought that the contract was. For some reason, I thought that the contract was on its way out. I thought it was, getting ready to expire. And now we got to. It's going to take a minute to get Scotty back. We thought things were going smooth, right? But we're going to have to wait for a minute to get Scott back. But as far as the Gamboa thing, from what I understand, the contract is coming up to the end. Now, we can't. It's only speculation about him working with Team Mayweather, and I certainly don't want to make any assumptions. But I would agree with advising Gamboa to possibly or try to walk away from this fight somehow. I mean, it doesn't mean he's chicken like Rios is suggesting. It just means that it's not the right fight for him now. And yeah, he was the guy calling for it. But you don't know about that either. The guy doesn't even speak any English, very little. I mean, so who knows? There's been many a story where a fighter is he's getting instruction by an English speaking, in this case, an English speaking guy, and the guy that's doing the interpreting is not interpreting what the guy is saying. So you never know. You never know. The thing is that I happen to like both fighters a lot. I think both fighters are extremely talented in different ways. Bam Bam Rios is a guy that comes at you and takes it to you, so to speak, in the fights that he's in. Of course, Gamboa is a different fighter. Now, one of the things that people have said to me is they said, Rios is too strong for Gamboa. Gamboa's got a weak chin. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Yes, Gamboa's been down a lot. I think 6 or 7 times throughout his professional career, but he's never once been hurt. And those knockdowns are more flash than anything else. And the style fighter that Gamboa is, if somebody connects with him while he's in the middle of delivering a series of punches, I can see where it goes down. But here's the thing. If Brandon Rios catches him and drops him, there's a very good chance he doesn't get up. And that's one of the issues that I would have if I'm with Team Gamboa. That's for sure. That's one of the issues that I would have, that he's fighting a guy that just, styles make fights. I mean, if he was the same size as Gamboa, I wouldn't worry about it. But he's not. He's way bigger. And like Scotty said, this is the featherweight moving up to lightweight. He's skipping a weight here. And yesterday I said, what was he a super featherweight? But no, he isn't a super featherweight. He's a featherweight. Brandon Rios doesn't even look like he's close to 135 pounds in the photos and press stuff that I've seen. So you never know. You don't know what's going on with that, and I certainly don't know what's going on with our Progresso soup can phone system that everybody's telling me I need to get a new one of, and of course I know that. But anyway, we got Scotty back. Sorry about that. Had to kick some stuff around. But the bottom line is, Rios is too big for Gamboa. Doesn't that boil? Isn't that pretty much it?
I think that's pretty much it, Bill. Now, we know that the one thing that can overcome a size advantage is speed, and Gamboa has plenty of speed. But the styles in this fight, Rios is such a physical guy, and Rios is used to taking punishment from legitimate lightweights. I mean, hard-punching lightweights. He took a lot from Miguel Acosta. He took a lot from Urbano Antione before he just storms back and rolls over these guys. I mean, he's a tough guy, very physical. I think Gamboa's speed might bother him a little, but I don't see his power moving up 2 weight classes and hurting Rios at all. And Rios is going to be 135 pounds for all of 10 seconds. He'll strip down butt naked, stand up on the scale, exhale, barely make 135, step down, and that'll be the last moment that he's ever 135 pounds again in his entire life, because this is his last fight at lightweight. And once he steps off that scale, it's done. The 135 is in the rearview mirror, and he'll never, ever see that again. And he'll enter the ring maybe 3 weight classes or more heavier than Gamboa. I mean, to me, it's an exciting fight between 2 top, young, undefeated fighters. I get why people want to see it. I'm not as thrilled, and I haven't been, as so many others, because, like you're saying, I just think there are too many disadvantages for Gamboa, and I can only imagine Gamboa is realizing that, whether he came to that realization on his own or through the advice of others. He is realizing that and thinking, you know what, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all, and maybe if I hold out and demand more, make it worth getting in the ring and taking this risk, then I'll do it. Otherwise, you're not going to see me.
The funny thing is I can't stand when fighters or any athlete does that. I mean, they make a contract, they got to get in and live up to it.
Absolutely.
So it's a catch-22. As a matter of fact, one of our chat guys, Marky Mark, who used to love the show, got all pissed off just now and left the room because he says, now I sound like like the rest of the promoters. Let the guys fight. Who cares if it's one-sided? But, I care if it's one-sided only because then you're going to have potential boxing fans watch it and complain that it was a one-sided fight. One last thing, and then we'll move on. Gamboa definitely, you mentioned he's got the hand speed and everything else, but you know what he's lacking to beat Rios? And I agree with you. He's got the hand speed and he does have some power. Whether it transmits up to the higher division or not, we won't know until he gets in the ring. But what I think is that he doesn't have the discipline. He doesn't have the discipline to outbox Rios, But, hey, they signed a contract. One thing is for sure. You sign a contract, you got to live up to it. If you're going to take a beating, then you take a beating. End of story. Hey, I wanted to ask you about this. The WBC, now, I've been these guys are making me sick. I mean, they really are, and there's no question about it. And we had a poll question that unanimously that told us to ban the WBC. But it's hard to ban the WBC. Honestly, in hindsight, it's hard to ban the WBC because who are we going to bash on? And, I mean, I don't want to bash on Mayweather and Pacquiao all the time. I got to bash on the WBC sometimes. And this one really cracks me up. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the fight where they had the wrong for Ray Boom Boom Batista when they had the wrong Genaro Garcia show up. That was for an IBF title. Did you see that the WBC is investigating this? Where is? I don't understand why. What's the point? Why would the WBC investigate an IBF sanctioned fight?
I don't know. I didn't know that actually. So that's news to me. But that's if that's true, and if that's the case, then to me again. One thing about the WBC, more than the other organizations that you see repeatedly, is their desire to come off holier than thou and sanctimonious, and they do these symbolic acts that are well publicized, so everyone can see how concerned they are and what a great organization they are and what humanitarians they are and how much they care for the sport, but they're destroying it, every time they put their hands on it. But there's these public displays of generosity, or we're going to do something about it, and they're going to slam. You can see Jose Suleiman slamming his fist down on the table. We will get to the bottom of this. Yeah, but you guys weren't. You have nothing to do. I don't care. It's our sport, and we want to, clean it up and blah blah. It's sanctimonious BS.
The funny thing is that I've never noticed it as much as I have in the last couple of months. And, they're really, I don't know if that was like part of the Sunday go to meetings that they have. And, they're like, okay, it's our time now. We got to make a move. We are going to take over the boxing world, and that's almost the way it is. Like, they're trying to make the WBC synonymous with the sport of boxing, that they're the overseers. And I wonder how many people are really buying into it. I won't post any of this kind of stuff anymore. I'll talk about it on the show, but I can't post anything like this. I could see them, taking and evaluating their own sanctioned events and putting their fist down and trying to, resolve an issue within a WBC sanctioned event. But they have no say in anything else. None. All these other things that they're making comments on, they have no say. What was the deal? The only reason why they had an issue with the Derek Chisora thing is because Vitali was a WBC champ. But Chisora didn't win, so he doesn't have any connection with the WBC. Lifetime ban. Come on, man. Come on.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking of the most recent attempt to sound, holy and just above everyone else. It means nothing. Big deal. He's not going to be ranked in the WBC. Who gives a crap? He doesn't care. And they left it out that, well, if you get some anger management, go to a few anger management classes and then reapply. They'll rank him again. And they'll say, we're about change, and we, made sure that he sought help, and we're glad to see he's a changed person, and we're about giving people second chances, so we're going to rank him. He's going to send you your check, and that's all you care about. They're a bunch of con artists, and they make me sick. Quick update, Bill, if you're interested, I'm on Twitter following the boxing card over in Australia, and Billy Dibb, who is our number 10 ranked featherweight, and the IBF titleist, defeated Eduardo Escobedo by a 7th-round stoppage to retain his title. So if anyone's interested in that just took place.
That card, there's a couple of cards going on. The one, Broadway Boxing, that I was going to ask you about in a second. But now, did Cali Meehan already fight, or is he, because he's fighting on that same card, isn't he?
Yes, he did. He was stopped by Travis Walker, I think.
Wow.
I think in 6 rounds.
Wow, Travis Walker, that ought to get him another payday. He went from, I remember when he was 38-1, and I think he was 38-1 when he met Chris Arreola, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is a big test for Arreola, big test," and Arreola destroys him. Then Travis Walker, the freight train, became the little caboose, the little train that could, because the bottom line was that he became an opponent, and next thing you know, he loses a bunch of fights in a row. This is going to get him at least another couple of paydays, you would think, right?
Well, I'm sure the Klitschko's right now have just moved him to, close to the top of the list for a title shot.
Well, tell me about. Yeah, well, no, that's our poll question. As a matter of fact, after you and I spoke about Tony Thompson, we put that poll question up: is Tony Thompson the best? Does he have the best shot out of the ranked heavyweights to beat Klitschko? And after thinking about some of the things you said, and obviously, the height issue and how we were both talking about the way the Klitschkos have perfected fighting the smaller guy. Maybe he does, and that's a poll question up there now. My question here for you, getting on, let's talk about that card that's happening right now from the land down under. Daniel Geale against Osman Adama. Yesterday I was bragging about how great I pronounced all the little guys. But what do you think in this one, man? This is actually there's a middleweight world title on the line there. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like Gil in that fight. I think Adamo, you look at his record, he's coming off of a stoppage of Roman Karmazin, but I think Karmazin's a shot fighter. And he has 2 decision losses to Dia Davis and Don George. So I look at that and I think, well, I understand styles make fights. I understand you can't just look at records and stuff like that. But those aren't two very. They're okay fighters. They're not top 10 fighters necessarily. He lost to both of them. I think Gil outboxes him. I'm not sure if he can stop him because Adamo, I think, is a pretty tough guy. But I think Gil's going to stop, especially over in Australia. I don't see Adamo winning a decision over there. So I like Gil by decision.
I like that they do the fights on Wednesdays. I like that. I think it's cool. I wish it was back like it used to be, where you have fights every day. I every time I start talking about that, I remind people. In the 50s, they used to have a TV guide just for boxing. That's how many boxing events were on television. And when you think about it, that's pretty cool.
Well, it really occurred to me or dawned on me when I was doing the ESPN radio show, and I would do this day in history. Now, our show was always on a Saturday, and I would always do this day in history, and I'd go back to that particular date, and I'd see some big fights, and I'd notice, wow, this is a Monday, this is a Thursday, and they're not all on Saturday anymore.
Right.
And it's not until about 20 years ago that all the big fights were on Saturday, and then to a lesser extent on Friday. They used to be throughout the week and on weeknights, and I thought, wow, that's very different for how it is now. I mean, I can barely remember growing up and watching them on weeknights. I mean, Larry Holmes, Sugar Ray Leonard. I remember when the
Tyson fought on a Monday.
84 Olympic team. The Night of Gold from Madison Square Garden. Lou Duva signed all the guys, Meldrick Taylor, Pernell Whitaker, and all those. They fought on, I think it was a Thursday night on network television. They made their pro debuts at Madison Square Garden. So quite a difference.
Well, Mike Tyson fought on a Monday night, and I believe he might have been the last fight on Monday. Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Ellis fought on a Monday night at the Astrodome. So, hey, by the way, you know what? If it makes you feel any better, we're on several ESPN radio stations. We're also on Fox and everything else. So, you're still on ESPN radio. Don't feel bad, Scott. You're still on it, man. You still got it. It's still there. It's in your repertoire. It's in your resume. So, and don't forget, you're getting the big bucks now. So come on.
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. My kids can eat.
That's right. They can eat. Hey, make sure they split that cheeseburger you can buy.
Cheeseburger.
Well, I think you could swing a cheeseburger with it.
Probably the dollar menu at McDonald's.
Right.
That goes a long way.
I said a cheeseburger, not fries. Don't be trying to add fries to this. But anyway, Kelly Pavlik, rumored to come back on March 31st against. Okay, I don't mean to laugh. I mean, listen, he's had some fights with, ATVs, the police, Budweiser bottles. But I guess rumor has it that Aaron Jacko, 15-2 with 5 knockouts, a very, very tough guy, is going to be fighting him in Texas at the end of the month. What's your thoughts, man? Is Kelly finally going to? What do you think, man? And here's the only thing. It was reported by a Youngstown internet site called The Vindicator, which I get daily. They send it because we have 2 stations in that area. So for some reason, I got put on that mailing list, and that's where I read it. And just remember, he hightailed it out of Youngstown because they didn't like him anymore.
Well, yeah, things weren't working out there. I think with his problems, it's kind of hard to stay where you struggle with those particular problems. So I think he did the right thing by heading out to California and new trainer, just trying to start. I mean, you've got to do something. I mean, how many times did we hear that Kelly's starting over, he's back, he's going to try harder, blah blah blah, and it never worked out. He kept having issues. at some point you have to make a radical change. The little changes aren't going to help anymore. You have to make a radical change. He's done that. Whether or not it works for him, I don't know. I wish him the best in his personal life, more so even than professionally. I think if he gets his personal life in order, then professionally he'll have some more success. I don't know if it'll be, world title success, but he'll have some success. I think he'll get a shot. He'll get a payday. He'll make some more money for his future, for his family, which is all good. It's just, forgive me if I'm skeptical, but guys that are just repeat offenders that you're always reading about, involved in problems outside of the ring, usually, unless they're young, they're very young. Sometimes you'll have a young man who gets into a lot of trouble, and they're around the age 20 or whatever, his life is redirected, refocused, and he's able to put that behind him. But usually, once you're where Pavlik is now in life, it's just really hard to turn things around. I hope he does, but I guess I'll believe it when I see it.
One last thing. Speaking of turning your life around, Oscar De La Hoya had said that he was going to make a boxing business shattering announcement yesterday. And I had heard through the grapevine that the announcement was going to be his own television network. He's copying off of Fight Now, and blah, blah, blah. And he did tweet, because he's become a tweetheart. I mean, there's no question about it. Oscar De La Hoya has become a real tweetheart. And he said that he's sober now 1 year. And I'm wondering if that's his big announcement. That sounds like he's not sober anymore. If he's tweeting that, that's not sober anymore. What do you think, real quick?
Well, that wasn't all of the tweet. It was also that he is not going to be returning to the ring.
Oh, right.
So, I'm not sure which of the two was the big announcement, or if we got a double dose of monumental news that he's sober a year and he's not coming back, because I know I was wondering if he was sober and if he was coming back.
Listen, never say never. And when a fighter shakes their head and says, "I'm not hurt," what does that mean? It means they're hurt.
A lot of times it means he is hurt.
Right. So when a fighter says, "I'm never coming back," a lot of times, what does that mean? He's coming back. So you never know. But Scotty,
well, we have Asseliner Freitas, who might be coming back as a light heavyweight. So
he's coming back.
Maybe Oscar can come back as a cruiserweight.
That fight is going to be a junior middleweight. But some of the information that I had heard about Freitas is that was the only problem. He wanted to make a comeback, but he hates going in the gym. So what's that telling you about what kind of Freitas we're going to get when he fights Michael Oliveira? So we'll have to wait and see on that one. They already pushed the date back. It was supposed to be at the end of May. Now it's in June. So he's already worried about the weight, because I did hear he was about 180 pounds. So we'll have to wait and see. But he's only 35, I think, 34 or 35. So anyway. Yeah. Scotty, great job. We'll look forward to you next week, my man.
All right, Bill. Hey, I sent you an email yesterday. I never heard back from you, so drop me a line.
About the rankings?
No.
You know what? You better send it to me again, because I have all my emails and I didn't see it. Maybe your internet wasn't working. So send it to me.
It's Comcast, so you know.
You made a special email address for me, and you still send it to me from your old one.
I don't know. Just have it.
Oh, Scotty. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Hey, go Mets, huh? Everybody's already hurt. Did you catch that? Half the team is already hurt. They can't even play in the scrimmage games. So I'm going to win that bet.
No, we still haven't won a game in the Grapefruit League. So I don't know. I think this was going to come down to the wire. I think we're both going to be watching the TV in September. It's like, come on.
I'll be rooting for the Orioles. I'll be rooting for the Orioles. You'll be rooting for the Mets, So anyway, Scotty, great job. I'll talk to you later.
Take care, bro. Bye.
That's Scotty Crouse, and doing what he does best, keeping us going. Hey, speaking of keeping it going, I'm a little late with the break, but I'm going to take it right now.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Kick Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Box with Billy C. radio show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now channel. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, combat sports. It's here right now, and it's called Fight Now. You got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and give them a call. Don't forget, all the information about the channel can be found at www.fightnow.com. You know, speaking of which, you know, David Allen, he's one of my favorite listeners, and he's from England, and he writes, Pavlik had to move because he drunk his town dry. You know, from England, you would think that they know how to speak English. David, it's Pavlik had to move because he drank his town dry, okay? And by the way, Scotty was saying about how much money he needs to make and everything. Do you realize how expensive it is to have a tap installed in your house?
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top ranking. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past is being sponsored by the International Boxing Organization, where their computerized ranking system is second to none. Check out their website, www.iboboxing.com. And here bringing us the Blast like he does every week. And our guy, by the way, is former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer Ken Buchanan. And speaking of English majors, our very own English expert, Alex Pierpaoli, joins us. What's up, brother?
Good morning, Billy C. How you doing?
Can you believe these guys from England, the ones who invented the English language, and he's sitting there saying, you know, Pavlik had to move because he drunk the town dry. I mean, come on, man. It's drank the town dry. Would you look, could you send him a little tips on how to speak English?
I could send him the Elements of Style by Strunk and White.
I don't know. Oh, now he's saying, oh, yeah, this is coming from a guy that can't pronounce his own. his own name. If David Allen would have listened to yesterday's show, everybody would have been proud of me. The strawweight division, come on, you know some of those names in that division. And I out of 10 guys, I was eight perfect pronunciations, and I only messed up 2 that we weren't even sure how they're pronounced. But anyway, Kenny Buchanan, former world lightweight champion of the world and Boxing Hall of Famer. Tell us about this guy, man.
Kenny Buchanan, yeah, and he's got a little bit of an accent himself. There's a documentary on YouTube that has quite a bit of interview footage of Mr. Buchanan, and I tell you, even though I speak the same language, it takes a little bit to get used to that accent.
They speak so fast, right?
Yeah, it's a little quick, and it's just a sort of a timbre that we're not really used to. I mean, I think we hear the British accent more often, but the Scottish accent is a little different.
Yeah, like sort of the echo that I'm hearing in the phone.
Yeah, I was going to say, should I call back or?
If it's bothering you, I mean,
I think I can live with it.
Okay, all right. Well, tell us about Kenny.
Okay, so he was born June 28th, 1945. He'll be 67 this year, and he's another guy who's you find him up in Canastota every year. He was born in Edinburgh, Scotland. He's 5'7.5" tall, and he fought as a lightweight. He started out as a cabinet maker in Edinburgh, and he really shunned the spotlight. He was quiet and an unassuming guy. He got started boxing at a gym called the Sparta Gym. To give you an idea of, I think that kind of speaks to the lifestyle he sort of led, was a very Spartan lifestyle. It's kind of ironic that it had that name. But he got interested in boxing when he saw the film The Joe Louis Story. He was 8.5 years old, and his dad took him to see it at the theater, and it sparked something in him. There's a scene in it where Jack Blackburn, who was, also a lightweight great, and he was Joe Louis's trainer, he tells Joe Louis, in the film, that if you want to get to the top, there's only one way to get there, and that's through the hard way. There's no easy way. And that just inspired something in Buchanan. As a fighter, he was always extremely fit. He was slim and wiry. There was an elegance and a class to his boxing. Buchanan was more of a stylist. He could make an opponent look awkward. He had a terrific left jab that, when he was at his best, it really operated like a piston. And this is a rather funny thing. His manager, when he turned pro at 19, he had a manager named Eddie Thomas. And evidently their relationship was pretty volatile. Eventually they did split. Oh, Bill, this was pretty funny, and it's a little raunchy for the morning crowd. But
do it. Now you got me interested. Tell us.
And when he said to him, he said, Ken, when you get ready for bed, do you usually use a toilet before you go to bed? And he's like, yeah. Well, he said, well, when you urinate, make sure you get a little on your hands, and then rub it into your brow, because it'll toughen up your skin.
Oh, God. And it will keep most people away, too,
So for quite a while, Ken Buchanan was doing that.
Oh, my God. And we thought it was bad that Juan Manuel Marquez drank his own urine, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's better, drinking it or rubbing it on your face.
Neither for me, man. But Kenny Buchanan, I tell you, I know this isn't the highlight of his career, but every time I think of Kenny Buchanan, and I know it's not fair to him, but I think of the Rocky Duran fight in 1972. I mean, what a fight. And I'm not taking anything away from Buchanan because, aside from the first few rounds, he did mount somewhat of a comeback. But let's talk about that fight. I'm sure you watched it a couple of times. I mean, an amazing fight. I don't know if it's more of a showcase for Duran or Buchanan, but I got to be honest. With all of the footage I've seen, the replays, even trying to show it, I never saw a knee in the groin. Did you?
No, I don't think it's a knee. I think it's a punch. And but yeah, it's hard to tell. It does seem like a photo was eventually released that seemed to be from those final moments that does show a punch landing below the belt, but it's not like today where there's so many great camera angles, you could just keep rolling it and get a good look at what happened. I don't see a knee, but there's definitely a low blow. And not only that, but in this documentary that I found on YouTube, he mentions how when Buchanan, when he went back to the UK and he saw a doctor, he actually had a crushed testicle.
Yeah.
That even to this day, a couple of times a month, he says he has shooting pains, and he'll think of Duran.
Yeah.
So the idea that those two, that fight is always associated when you think of Ken Buchanan, it's the same thing for him.
Yeah, no, and he and I've seen interviews with him when he says, "I'll never forget him," because every time I stand up, I think of Roberto Duran. But
Duran called him one of his toughest opponents.
Yeah,
if
no.
not the toughest. So there is something to that.
It was a great fight. It really was. And like I said, I mean, it started out, and that's where I actually learned that Roberto Duran's nickname was Rocky Duran. And everybody always talks about him with the hands of stone, but that's where he got it. And they dropped it after that. And somebody mentioned something to me about the Rocky thing, and I can't remember why they did it. But anyway, back to Buchanan. After that fight, although he did become the European lightweight champion, he did get another shot at the World Lightweight Championship. He really wasn't the same fighter, was he?
No, he that did take a lot out of him. And, in a way, it's hard to say if how rematch would have gone. But it never happened. And there was something a little bit weird. This was, again, where you have the different sanctioning bodies, and they never seemed to be able to agree on who was the lightweight champion at the same time. Unfortunately, when he won the title, and this was one of those things that he kind of carried with him a little bit of resentment, when he won the title in Puerto Rico, and it was in over 100-degree heat.
Right.
Unfortunately, that fight was not for the undisputed championship because Ismael Laguna had some sort of promotional dispute, and the WBC, our friendly neighborhood WBC, who we still enjoy today, refused to recognize him. And unfortunately, neither did the BBBC. So when he returned to the UK, he didn't even get a hero's welcome. So there were some things like that he did kind of harbor some resentments along the way, despite really having a tremendous career. He had the win over Ortiz, which was on the undercard of the Ali versus Patterson fight at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, he had a fantastic career, and the saddest part is that he made a ton of money, and he's virtually broke now, penniless. As a matter of fact, there was rumor a year or two ago that he was going to make a comeback. He was going to fight at 60 years old, and that he had already sold his championship belts, and he had some, drinking problems and all this stuff. Did you get into any of what's going on in his life right now?
Yes, it does seem like the drink was a bit of a problem. As of May of 2009, he was talking about that. Yes, exactly like you said, of doing some boxing. Now, evidently, he has a crushed disc in his back or a broken vertebrae. I'm not sure exactly, but some rather serious back trouble. But I guess what we'd be talking about is not like an all-out, fight, but from what it sounds like, it would be sort of like white-collar boxing, like maybe sparring with people who want to be able to say, I'm sparring with Kenny Buchanan. Exhibition-type stuff, I would assume, so he could make a little money.
Yeah, I think does he still run the gym? Does he still run a gym? Because I know he works out on a regular basis.
Yeah, evidently he still does work out and is still in very good shape. So, yes, perhaps he is still running a gym. Evidently, at one point he owned a hotel, and he had some investments that went south. So I'm not sure if he still has that hotel or not. But and I'm not sure. I know this was a request from a listener, and maybe this is why. But it looks like there's going to be a documentary coming out about him in the UK this month on March 27th. It's called The Boxer from Somewhere Else. It'll be in theaters over there, and it's by documentarian named Jamie Steedman, and the trailer looks pretty good.
Good stuff. Hey, let me ask you a question. Does the town of Edinburgh sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it does. It's a hard one to say.
Well, yeah, because I just said it wrong. But my man,
I think you did it right. That borough, it's hard to say. I find it hard to say that.
well, my man Tom Molyneux, actually.
I was going to say, didn't he end up there? At some point?
He when he ended up in Scotland, he ended up in that town. So they're old towns around here, man. They've been around for thousands of years. But anyway, great job on Kenny Buchanan. He's a boxing Hall of Famer, former world lightweight champion. He had a career record of 61 wins, 27 coming by knockout, 8 losses. And by the way, only 1 stop, and that came at the hands of Rocky Duran. 550 rounds as a pro with a 39% KO ratio. Kenny Buchanan, great job with that one, Alex. Speaking of which, I got to ask you, before I ask you your opinion about the fight that really wasn't a fight, I experienced something, and I was waiting to share it with you. I've already talked about it on the show, but, this past weekend we were supposed to do the live broadcast out of Tampa, and as everyone knows, the fight, the commission pulled the plug at the last minute. And all the talk that we're always talking about, how promoters don't promote, and so many bad people are in the sport of boxing and blah, blah, blah. Well, here we have a first-time promoter who basically gets rung through the ringer and loses, in my estimation, 50 big ones. And where most guys would have slid out the back door, never to be found again, seen or heard of, and possibly move out of the state and change their name, this guy not only stood up, he paid all of the fighters in full, which he didn't have to do. He only was obliged to pay them 50%. Refunded everybody's money, all of the ticket buyers, right there on the spot, and vowed that he'll be back in a month. I thought it was a feel-good story, man, and I wish that so many other first-time promoters or just people in the sport would follow suit. What's your thoughts on that and how it doesn't hit the news the way all the negativity seems to find its way in the papers and on the internet and everything else? But this is a backdrop story that we're the only ones talking about.
Yeah, it sure is a good feel-good story, like you said. I mean, that's just great news, and it. I'm sure, like you had said, I guess it was in yesterday's show. I mean, it had to hurt. I'm sure doing that had to hurt him. But I believe in karma, and I think that you hope that a guy like that, things will look up for him in the future. This is not the sport that is the most merciful, that's for sure. But you certainly hope that the good guys win in the end, and he certainly sounds like a good one.
Yeah, so anybody, you should, if you're listening, you get a minute, drop this guy an email, eestrada33 at AOL.com, eestrada33 at AOL.com. Give him an attaboy because he deserves it. Alex, we had what did I call it? A heavyweight championship this past weekend. None of us thought it was going to be a competitive fight, except Manny Stewart tried to convince us all that Jean-Marc Mormac was going to give Vladimir Klitschko a tough go. It didn't happen, and I found it pretty funny that at the end of the fight, Mormac says, I didn't even hit him, and Klitschko says, yeah, you did. You hit me with that one shot, and it actually stung. And now we're looking at fighters that can hit the guy. If they hit him, they get a moral victory. They're talking about Tony Thompson being the next opponent for Vlad. What's your thoughts on the Mormac fight, and what's your thoughts on him facing Tony Thompson again?
I did not see the whole Mormac fight, but I did watch the last round on YouTube. I just had some problems with that Epix stream.
Me too. I always do. It's too choppy. I can't stand watching streams that are choppy.
Yeah, it seems like for the Klitschkos it has been choppy, and then there was 1 weekend in between there where there was the Cleverly fight. That one seemed to work for me, so maybe it was a deal with just the amount of people jumping on there. But
well, I watched the Pavliks fight, and it was choppy too.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, I think that from what I saw, I was not impressed. But I mean, I thought Klitschko did what he should do, and I think that I think it is kind of comical that he's rushing to compliment him about landing a punch. I mean, come on, Vlad, it's over. You can stop.
Right.
You don't have to sell it anymore.
I know. I know that. I found that funny, and then everybody's going, yeah, he did connect with one. He did, and we're trying to give him kudos for connecting with a punch,
I didn't realize he was 39 years old either. I mean, I knew, that just in terms of the weight class, but I didn't realize he had gotten that long in the tooth. I remember, him, the fights with O'Neal Bell, and I think he had a pretty good fight with Wayne Braithwaite too, if I remember correctly. But the big thing was the leap in weight class, and the height and reach just was going to be way too much. And those were the case. And then you couple that with the 39 years of age and the slow reflexes, and he didn't have a prayer. I mean, I think it kind of ended up looking sort of like when Riddick Bowe defended the title against Jesse Ferguson. It was that kind of just sort of a gimme win. And in that sense, you can't blame him. I mean, I guess if this guy was an American, we'd be singing his praises. So I really do think that that's the case. As much as he's not as thrilling as I'd sure like him to be, he is dominant, that's for sure. And I sure as hell wouldn't want to get hit by that right hand that put him out.
That's the thing. And even the jabs looked like they were hurting Mormack. It always makes me laugh, and I know we joke about it. It's always like, you ask a fighter or even an old-timer, older than me, what do you think, And they always start the sentence with the same, I wish I had a nickel for every time they started out. All you have to do is, and it's comical because all you have to do is everybody says the same thing. They all try it, and it's impossible until when they feel that first jab, and it feels like somebody just hit you with a baseball bat, not even getting hit with the right yet, seeing it cocked, ready to come, that's got to hurt you mentally.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you would need to be fast, big, strong, good reflexes, not at all intimidated type heavyweight. I mean, like a Ray Mercer, a prime Ray Mercer, a prime Ernie Shavers, those kind of guys I'd like to see against a Klitschko. But, there's just nobody like that out there. So, this is what's out there, and these guys are dominant, and, we just got to get used to it. I mean, I think all that said, I think he did what he should do in that he did take him out, and he concussed him. He did what we wanted him so badly to see him do against David Haye.
Right. And I just hope he doesn't give David Haye a shot at all. He said something about it. He mentioned all these names after the fight. David Haye was one of them. Tyson Fury was another one, and Seth Mitchell. The name he didn't mention was Tony Thompson, and that was announced yesterday that is indeed going to take place. We don't have an exact date, but Tony Thompson is the mandatory for at least the IBF portion of his belts. And, one of the things I was saying is that both Klitschkos have perfected fighting the smaller guy. It was evident against Mormack. It was evident against every other fighter that they've been in the ring against. But Tony Thompson is the closest to being the same size. It's been 4 years since they fought. Do you think that Thompson will give him any trouble?
Not particularly, no. I don't think that he's advanced in the areas he would need to, since the last fight. I think some of it is just sort of natural ability, like reflexes and just power. I don't think he's improved in that sense. I think in the sense that he's going to be, he'll certainly be more confident because he's been there before, but and at least there won't be any jitters. But he lost last time, so I think it's a decent matchup for what's out there, and I think that what we saw is that there's a big gulf between Povetkin and both Klitschkos in the Huck fight because, I saw that as a draw. I thought if Huck it maybe if the referee had been a different referee, or maybe if Huck was able to rally a little bit, that was a close fight. Maybe if it was in another country, we'd be talking about maybe Huck getting a shot. But because it didn't go that way, I don't think if Povetkin's thinking about Rahman, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, the heavyweight division is what it is, unfortunately.
I agree with you. I had it a draw, and I thought Huck could have won the fight pretty much easily if he would have just thrown 6 more punches around. He wins the fight. It was that. It seemed like every time he threw punches, he connected and he hurt the guy. But hey, one last thing, and I got to let you go. Rios-Gamboa, Bam Bam Rios. You saw all the stuff going on with that. Will the fight happen?
I think it's going to happen. I hope it's not. I hope it is just gamesmanship, and that these guys will get it together. Between that fight and the Salido-Lopez rematch this weekend, we need some of those. You know me, I like the little guys, and those are 2 little slugfests that we got on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to both of them.
Well, the other fight this weekend, Mikey Garcia against Bernabe Concepcion, that's that's going to be the fight of the weekend. I have a feeling that Juanma Lopez, and we should have talked more about this, but we will tomorrow without you. But Juanma Lopez, he always, to me, showed a suspect chin. And when he gets hurt, he does the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. Instead of covering up and trying to get your wits about you, he starts wailing away. And I know that Salido knows that, and I don't think that that's something that he's going to change. That's just his disaster recovery mode. And Salido's, I wouldn't be surprised if the same result happens, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably what will happen.
I don't know what's going on now, but you got some stuff going on in the background. But anyway, Alex, I appreciate it, and we'll talk. What's going on over there?
I had it on mute, but I guess when there's that commercial that comes on, and I guess it overrides the mute.
Oh, jeez. But anyway, Alex, great job. Tell your wife I said hi, all right? No, but we'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right, take care.
All right, take care. What the hell is going on in the Pierpaoli house? Jeez. What commercial? I didn't go to a commercial break. Come on, man. What's going on in the Pierpaoli house? Anyway, speaking of commercial breaks, I guess we got to take one.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on the scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the 3rd time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the Summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
so you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in. Because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Sweet Susie Q, she was a rebel. No angel wings, more like the devil. She was so hot, so cool and nasty. Believe it or not, here's what she asked me. If you need love with no condition.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you got to give your local television provider a call right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel. It's that simple. Pick up the phone, call your TV provider, and tell them you want Fight Now right now. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out their website for the latest listings, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, he's here, the infamous Joe Santoliquito. What's up, brother?
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Good. How you doing today, Joe? You know, I call you the infamous Joe Sant, and you always come on nice, calm, cool, and collective. The house could be burning down, and you're nice and calm. You know, that's good, man. That's good. You keep me in my place, you know? Mm-hmm. So, not much to talk about with the Klitschko fight this weekend. He did what we all thought he was going to do. He pretty much had his way with Mormac. I found it pretty comical that everybody was glad that Mormac landed one punch. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, you know, after doing this over the years, you know where I stand with the Klitschkos. I really think you got to put them both in that all-time great status. I mean, you might have some people that are listening that might be doing handstands and backflips. They haven't done this, they haven't done that. But you know what? They are a victim of their times. Again, we can't. Last time I looked, no one's created a time machine, you know, for these guys to step back into the great heavyweight era of the late '60s, early '70s.
Let me ask you a question.
They've only beaten and pretty much squashed everybody, you know, that's been put in front of both of them. They can't help that.
No, you're right.
These guys beat.
You're right, but I got to ask you a question because it's a great segue to this question. With that said, and I agree with you, Joe, and I agree with you, and I was pretty critical of the Klitschkos for the longest time. I said the same things that you alluded to that people say, oh, the heavyweight division sucks, they're not that good, they're boring, they're this, they're that. But considering their size, considering that you're dealing with a 6'7" man that's 250-plus pounds, in top physical shape, who's athletic, who always is prepared, and all of that, let's take the time machine that's not invented yet and put him in with those guys, our favorite fighters, the Rocky Marcianos, the Jack Dempseys, you know, the Sonny Listons, the Joe Fraziers, you know. Do they beat them too? I mean, does the size and the athletic ability, is it that hard to beat with these guys? Because I hear them say all the time, oh, if Jack Dempsey got in there, he would do what he did to, you know, the other giant and this and that. And I say, you know what? I'm not so sure.
Willard could chew gum and walk at the same
That's
time.
what I'm saying. Jess Willard wasn't athletic, you know, and Lou Firpo, a big dude too, he wasn't athletic. You know, I mean, all these big guys in the past just weren't the same mold. I mean, I'm starting to really wonder if these guys, if there was a time machine, would have dominated any division because of the physical size.
I'll tell you what, let's put them in the 70s. Let's put them in the 70s here for a second. They would have done well. They would have done very, very well. I'll tell you something, and let's think about this. Let's put him in with Frazier. Let's put Vladimir in with Frazier for a second. Did not Frazier have problems with George Foreman?
Yeah.
Large, And by the way, Klitschko, Vladimir, and literally are much larger than Foreman.
Way bigger.
But Joe Frazier was 5'10", 5'10", maybe 5'11". Is Joe Frazier getting within an inch or a sniff of either of the Klitschkos? Not really, Bill. Not really. I mean, let's put it up there with today's modern athlete, as opposed to yesterday's athlete. Today's modern athlete is far superior in so many ways. Again, today's modern athlete is not going up against the depth of yesterday's modern athlete or yesterday's athlete, but again, let's put the combination together: the size, the quickness, the speed, the athleticism at that size. That's all a rare blend. I'll tell you this: the only one I think from that era that would be able to beat either of the Klitschkos might be Ali. Would probably be Muhammad Ali, and that would be it. There's no one comparable to either of the Klitschkos during that time period. There really isn't, because these guys again are very, very rare. Literally, again, rugged, large, strong, could take a punch. Vladimir, maybe not as rugged nor as strong as his brother, but again, compensates for those deficiencies with his quickness, with his athleticism, with his speed. And let's also put something else up there, too. These guys finish people. They finish people.
Well, they break them down. They break them down.
This a number of times before. People like knockouts. They want people. You know what? Mormack shouldn't have been in there. So you know something? Vladimir finished them off.
Right. Well, the thing about the Klitschkos is they break their opponents down. You know, and I think they would have been successful with our. You know, and nobody wants to admit that the all-time greats couldn't have been competitive in any era, but I think there comes a time, and you made an interesting point a couple seconds ago. You said all of our athletes today, and it goes the same. I'm a big Joe Namath fan. He was my idol. He was the best football player in his era. You know, you could go back and you can mention great football players from years gone by. But now put those same guys in with today, and they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. I mean, I just think as a whole, we're in better shape. I mean, not me, but you know, the athlete is in better shape. They know how to train, they know how to eat, their nutrients are better.
And it's 24 hours, 365. Let's be realistic. I mean, I saw that great HBO special on Namath.
Wasn't that great? Hey, let's
with a hangover. They're playing the AFC Championship game against the Oakland Raiders.
Wasn't
not today?
Hey, let me tell you something. I thought I knew everything about Joe Namath. I've met the guy a couple times. As a matter of fact, I have a signed football right up there on the shelf. And you know, he changed the game. But that special that HBO had was fantastic. Do you remember some of the footage that they were showing, and I never knew how much of he made John Elway look like he couldn't run when he was running and darting and diving into the end zones. I mean, we only got to see him after he had the knee injury.
Yeah, at Alabama, yes.
Yeah. And high school,
again,
high school.
The mass public then, and again, it's a product of the times. I mean, today, someone like a Namath at Alabama, everyone in the country would have seen him.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the country would have seen him with you know, the 8 zillion ESPN platforms and what have you with the other networks. He would have been splashed all over the place, left, right, center, everywhere.
How about that baseball, the hitting average? He had something that was like a career high school batting average of 746 or 726, something like that. Amazing. But anyway, I could talk about Namath all day long. Today, this weekend we have the rematch, Orlando Salido, against Juan Lopez. What do you think?
Well, Salido beat him the first time. I think Salido exposed Juanma to a few things. I think in my opinion, I think Juanma bounces back from that. I think he's learned a few things. I don't think, I'll tell you one thing it did expose, and it's funny because I'm the one that posed the question to Bob Arum. They had the doubleheader at the theater in Madison Square Garden, and Arum jumped all over me. I know what you people from Golden Boy want, this, that, and I said, wait a second, Bob. I'm here for Ring Magazine. I'm here for RingTV.com. I'm asking you the question that all boxing fans want to know. When's Gamboa going to get in the ring with Juanma? Well, I know better than anybody. I know this, I know that. And you know something? Bob Arum does. 9 times out of 10, Bob Arum is correct. Bob Arum's probably the greatest promoter in the history of boxing. I'm not going to dispute any of that from Bob Arum. Bob Arum's tremendous. This time, he was wrong. He should have. That's a fight that he should not have let marinate as much as Bob Arum wanted to let marinate. I know what you people from Golden Boy are conspiring to do. Damn it, Bob, I'm talking as a boxing fan. I'm sorry, first, I'm talking to you as a boxing journalist. Secondly, as a boxing fan. People want to see Gamboa and Juanma. Something's going to happen. You're going to turn around and you're going to try to play this fight up, and one of these guys is going to get knocked off. Now, I'll be honest with you. I thought, at the time, the more likely fighter to get knocked off was Gamboa. Now, didn't Gamboa go life and death with someone, I think, prior to, oh, geez, and I think he's Philly-based, too, right now.
I thought it was Salido. The toughest opponent that I remember him fighting against was Salido. He ended up stopping him. Yeah, Gamboa fought Salido. And he ended up... He didn't get stopped.
Who's the African fighter that there was a Gamboa that fought and went life and death with?
I'm not recalling. I don't know.
Was it Juanma? Was it Juanma that went? Rogers Matagua. Matagua.
Oh, he came. That's right. At the end, he came back. But Rogers Matagua, that was a one-sided fight until the end. He came strong. He came on at the end, didn't he? Matagua. No, Matagua.
Yeah, but there was some debate.
No, Matagua went life and death with Juanma, and then Gamboa fought him afterwards, and he beat him quickly. That was the thing that happened there. I'm pretty sure, because at the end, when Rogers Matagua when Rogers Matagua fought.
Thank you.
We just lost Joe. When Roger Matagua fought Juanma, they were slugging it out. And Juanma hung on at the end. You know, let me see. We got you back.
Again?
It was Roger Matagua that came on and was just about to take out Juanma at the end. Remember? And Juanma hung on. It was that fight that went life and death. But you know, the thing about Juanma is that when he gets hurt, and that's a great point. Let's talk about that fight, because when he got hurt, he showed me that instead of covering up and trying to get his wits about him, he starts wailing away. And Salido knew that, and that's when he knocked him out. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens this time.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'm a Juanma guy. I like him. I spent some time with him. As he was on his rise up, I got an opportunity to spend a day with him. I think he's a tremendous fighter. I think he's tremendous for boxing. People were looking at him as the next Trinidad out of Puerto Rico. Obviously, we know that's not the truth right now. But I think he is a vulnerable fighter. I think, again, this is going to be a fantastic fight. I think it has certainly has the markings of a great fight. But I'm going to go in the opposite direction, Bill. I think Juanma learned his lesson from that first Salido fight. I like to think, he's turning around and he's on that slippery slope. He's going to know when to hang on. He's going to know when to hold and basically survive this instead of turning around and trying to fight fire with fire. It's kind of interesting. He should borrow a page out of Tito's book. Remember the times Tito's been knocked down? Tito's been knocked down plenty. He had been knocked down plenty during the course of his career. And Tito would get up and either hit somebody in the nuts like he did with Vargas the one time, or do something to try, just do something to turn around and make some time for himself.
Yep. You make an interesting point about Juanma. Learning, trying to right the ship or whatever. But remember, it wasn't something that he lacked in learning. It's his chin, and I don't know if you can teach
Tito. He's Tito.
Right.
He's Tito. And excuse me. I'll tell you what. He's Tito without. He's Tito without that left hook. Now, he could hurt you a little bit, but I don't know if his left. I don't know if his power is as potent as Tito. As a matter of fact, I don't think it is.
No. I think Wama's going to come in the same way, and they're saying that in the chat room now. I think Wama's going to come in, and he's going to try and knock him out. What got him to where he was prior to the Salido fight was his KO punch. That's what was exciting. He is a likable guy. There's no question about it. Big smile, all that happy stuff. But the undercard fight may be the most entertaining fight of the whole weekend. That's Mikey Garcia against Bernabe Concepcion. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
I like Mikey Garcia. I've liked Mikey Garcia. I was the first guy to ever write about Mikey on a national level. I like a lot of things he's doing right now. This is obviously a step-up fight. I just see him emerging in this fight, and I see him emerging more and more in that division. I think he's a budding superstar. I think he's one of the bright hopes still of the sport. After spending the last 2 weeks up in New York between Pacquiao and Bradley and Mayweather and Cotto, all those guys are in their early to mid-30s. You know, it's an old sport right now. It's a sport where we have to turn around and cling to, you know, the Adrian Broners and the Mikey Garcias. It's good to recognize. It's good to see what's happening there. Give me a refresher here. I'm over here and I'm buzzing around, and I'm thinking Rios and Gamboa was made, and then I find out Rios and Gamboa may not be made.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask you your thoughts on that. What's happened is the fight was signed, and they were supposed to start the press tour, and
Gamboa walked away.
Well, they kicked it off in Miami a couple of days ago, and then they went to L.A. yesterday. And so far, there's been no shows for Yuriorkis Gamboa. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on that. You know, we were talking earlier about that fight, and I love both of the fighters. I love them both, but I really thought that it was a foolish move for Team Gamboa to accept a fight against Rios because of the size difference. And now
Rios can beat him, Bill.
Rios can beat him because of the size difference, but now rumor has it that Gamboa found his way to Mayweather Promotions, and maybe that might have something to do with the fact that
he's denied signing with Mayweather. I think he was found in Mayweather's gym. He worked out there, but I don't think there's anything concrete that's saying that
he's still under
contract.
With Mayweather. He's still under contract with Aaron, but I think getting together with Mayweather is a good move for him. I think to be honest with you, now you know I'm not the biggest Mayweather fan. I'm probably the least, but I think that promotion company, Team Mayweather, would be advantageous for Gamboa to, you know, when he's done with Bob Arum to go with them, because I think that they know the type of fighter he is, and I think that they would help his career. What do you think?
Question. Other than Floyd Mayweather, who has Mayweather Promotions really helped?
Well, he's got that young kid he's working on right now, and they haven't focused it. I think that they're starting to build with Mayweather Promotions now because, you know, Floyd's getting, let's face it, Floyd's 35 years old.
Yeah, Floyd has 2 or 3 more fights in him.
Right, that's it.
And Floyd has a bit of a stay coming up on June 1st.
He's got a tough fight. He's got a tough fight against Cotto, and then if
on May 5th, and then he has a stay with the Clark County Detention Center on June 1st.
That's correct, but listen, after Cotto, assuming he gets by Cotto, and it's not a layup fight, I don't care what anybody says, it's not a layup fight. Assuming he gets by Cotto, the only fight. All right, well, whatever. But you know, the thing is that assuming he gets by Cotto, the only fight out there is Pacquiao. Without Pacquiao, Floyd doesn't have to fight anymore. He could focus on promotion, and what better fighters to start getting? He's got some young ones, and you get a guy like Gamboa in his stable. I think that would be good. I think it would be advantageous.
Don't get me wrong. I think it would be good too, Bill. But right now, I don't know if Mayweather Promotions has done anything that
they haven't tried, though.
Say, for example, I'm looking at a spreadsheet, and I'm looking at upward and downward movement of fighters. Nothing spikes my interest. There's nothing there that says bang, as of all the list of fighters that Floyd Mayweather.
We just lost you. I guess timing was perfect. No. We'll try and get him back. But, I mean, he hasn't actively went after anybody. I mean, Jesse Vargas is a guy that they're talking about now. But are you back, Joe?
I'm here.
I'm sorry, man. We at least we were able to get you back fairly quickly. But you were talking about, he hasn't helped anybody. But they really haven't tried, have they? I mean, the only guy that I heard them really working with was Jesse Vargas, and they've seemed to do a good job with him.
Okay.
But aside from that, I'm sure that there's been other fighters.
And he had this music promotional company and did nothing with that. I'm just a journalist, old school journalist, I suppose, in the sense that the proof is in the pudding. That I need tangible evidence that something's being moved or something's helped. Oscar De La Hoya and Gold Boy Promotions has had their moments, and I gave them some credit. Oscar and Richard Schaefer now have used their ties. They are right now probably the second most powerful promotional company out there behind Top Rank. I have a question here. Oscar was supposed to come out with some big blockbuster announcement. I'm going to shake up the boxing world. The announcement was supposed to come, and it came, and it went, and what was the announcement?
Well,
maybe I have my head to say it. I have no idea if an announcement was even made.
He announced that he's never going to fight again. He announced that he's sober for 1 year, but from what I heard, rumor was that he's formed a 24/7 boxing channel, copying off of Fight Now, and he hasn't made that official. But hey, one last thing, and it's time flies. But the one thing I just want to add about the Mayweather thing, and I don't mean to sound like I'm part of Mayweather Promotions, but I got to give credit where credit's due. You mentioned Golden Boy and everything else. With the exception of a couple of comeback fights, Golden Boy, they started focusing on their promotional companies after their careers were over. And I think Mayweather's smart enough to know that he's not going to box forever, and he's got to do something to stay in the sport. And I think it is going to be promotions, and I think that he's got enough money, and also he's got enough name recognition that he is going to be a successful promotion company if he chooses. You are 100% right about the music industry, but I think that was more of a hobby than anything else. I think he just likes hanging around with 40 Cent.
I'd
50
like to believe
Cent.
that. I think I'm a Floyd fan. You know that.
Well,
that.
I'm not
I'm
really,
Floyd,
but
I'm a proponent of his. I think he is a lot smarter than people give him credit for. I think he's a lot tougher than people give him credit for. We had a nice sit-down. I got some one-on-one time with him last week as everybody was milling around him. I go way, way back with him. I do think the world of Floyd. I think he's the best pound-for-pound fighter today. I think he's an all-time great, blah, blah, blah. I can go on and on and on. I like to think, and I like to believe, though, I'd like to believe he can overcome some lapses of his, where, again, like I said, he is smarter than people give him credit for. But then again, he makes stupid mistakes, and this goes up there. I have something up there on the Bleacher Report. I'm starting to do work for them and write columns for them. And one of the major mistakes Floyd made during that press tour, and I'm just using this as an example of getting back into that Mayweather putting these allegations that Pacquiao's success, came from performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
and he opens his mouth while having a pending lawsuit already against him from Pacquiao, alleging that Mayweather said these things about him, and it's pretty much there's a lot of proof out there. And then Mayweather went right back to the same allegations that Pacquiao wouldn't be where he is today without PEDs.
Yeah, no, he's got to learn to stop.
Pacquiao started his career at the age of 16. He was 106 pounds. Guess what? Floyd Mayweather, when he was a 16-year-old amateur, guess how much Floyd Mayweather weighed?
110.
6 pounds.
Right. No, hey, listen, man. I hear you, and he does have to learn to keep his mouth shut. Hey, Joe, we gotta go. I gotta wrap it up here. We'll look forward to you next week. We'll be talking about the Lopez fight, and hopefully we'll have something good to talk about.
Super. Okay, Bill.
All right, brother. Take care. That's the infamous Joe Santoliquito giving us his thoughts, and too bad we hung up on him a couple of times. That sucked, but he got his thoughts across. But hey, before I get into our daily trivia here, I just want to remind everybody: Broadway Boxing tonight. Patty Boom Boom Alcivar. I love this fighter. She's a great person. She was on our show Monday. She's fighting over at BB King's Blues Cafe under the Lou DiBella banner, and she's taking on Keisha McLeod. It ought to be a good one. The main event: Alex Perez, undefeated, 15-0, 9 knockouts, is taking on my man Gato Figueroa. Haven't seen him in a while. Wish Gato all the luck in the world tonight. So if you're going to be going down there, tell him Billy C sent you, and say hello to my girl Patty Boom Boom Alcivar.
Wake up. It's time for the...
It's too early for a trivia question.
Hey, today's trivia question is being brought to us by The French Invasion. If you want to get some tickets to this great event on March 24th in Macomb, Georgia, check out our website, www.billycboxing.com. Click the fight poster and get yourself some tickets. We will be broadcasting it live on LDL TV beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so check that one out. The main event is Frank Hiroshi Horta against Grady Brewer. And by the way, we have the poll question up there about Thompson and Klitschko. Check that one out. Okay, here you go. Here's and we got a special prize for Fight Now viewers. We got a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. If you can get this trivia question right, and you know what? We're going to give everybody if you can get this one right today, you'll get a free copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. It's a simulation game. It's about a $50 value. Who fought the most fights between 1900 and 1909? Who fought the most fights between 1900 and 1909? Email me the correct answer if you know it, billy@talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com.
This day in boxing history.
And this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, use the ones that keep me out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099, and tell them Billy C sent you. On this day, March 7th, back in 1987, my main man, Mike Tyson, wins a 12-round decision over Bone Crusher Smith to add the WBA World Heavyweight title to his WBC belt. That fight took place on this day, March 7th, 1987, in Las Vegas. I'll never forget the post-fight interview with Bone Crusher Smith, and people saying, all you did was hug him, and he kept saying, did you ever want to survive? Did you ever want to just survive? Well, just remember one thing. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.